TalkManRadio Fantasy Football Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the TalkManRadio Fantasy Football Podcast. This week, we're changing things up a little bit. Big news in the fantasy football world, and we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Andrew Luck and the total dynamic of his decision to retire in your fantasy football draft this week. The Andrew Luck situation does bring on some new questions, and we're going to get into that right now. And then we're going to talk about my theory, and I'm going to give you some examples, and I'm going to give you some guys to look at this upcoming season. So let's get into the show. So, in case you haven't heard, Andrew Luck retired. And, that dude is pretty good. I liked having that dude. I had him on my team like 3 or 4 years in different leagues. And whenever he was on my team, I had nothing to worry about in the quarterback position. And I didn't have him the year he was out. I wasn't taking him that year. But I did draft him last year. It got me to the championship game. That dude is solid. But from what I've seen from him, you're not going to hear a bad word out of me, out of the guy. And the guy seems like a pretty stand-up dude. So him retiring brings along the Jacoby Brissett era, which will probably last about a season in Indianapolis. But there are some shockwaves, and we're going to talk about them right now. Since Luck's gone, T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell, who my dick was so hard for that guy, now it's just so forget that. We're not taking him out. And Funchess. All three of those guys, basically, you have to drop them about 2 rounds. T.Y. Hilton in the 3rd or 4th round, maybe. You got to drop him down to about 5 or 6. Funchess, wherever you're drafting him, I mean, he was probably going late anyway. I'd still wait about a round on him. And it doesn't really apply to Paris Campbell because you're probably going to take a flyer on him in one of your later rounds anyway, if at all, if you're not going to pick him up off the waiver wire. So that's my theory on that. Brissett, he's going to be probably a late round pick. He's going to be a backup to somebody if he gets drafted at all. With his season a few years back, wasn't that great. That got them, the 5th pick in the draft? That's how they got Quentin Nelson. So, yeah, he's already shown what he can do. The only thing that you may have to take into account that could go in his favor is that they have Frank Reich there, and he's been under him for a year. Not only that, he's gotten to look at hang out with Andrew Luck for a year, watch what he sees in the film room, on the field. So he could end up being maybe top 20 quarterback. It's possible. You see what happens. He's the kind of guy, you see what happens, but I'm not really looking for, 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns out of him. Also, the running backs, you have Hines and you have Mack, who I had a good feeling about him this year. If they change the offense around to protect Brissett more so, you might be looking at a pretty good year from Mack. So you don't have to drop him. Maybe drop him about a round if you haven't done your draft yet. I feel sorry for the people who did, by the way. I do feel sorry for the people who did do their drafts. And, we're looking for big years from anybody on the Colts, and now they're stuck with these guys. So, sorry about that, guys. Anybody out there who did the draft already. But Hines, you have to drop him as well. He was basically the pass-catching guy out there, and he was going to make his hay in PPR. But, you got to get the P first. And I don't know if this guy is going to be able to get as much P out of him for the PPR. So it's going to be tough, everybody out there in Colt land, drafting these Colts if you go out there and want to. I don't think anybody's out there targeting the Colts now. I think, they're kind of waiting for value in terms of T.Y. Hilton maybe and Marlon Mack, maybe even Funchess. But I don't see, best case scenario, maybe they're, 8-8, maybe. That's a tough division. You got Jacksonville coming back. You've got Houston already, who won the division last year. Tennessee, who they're okay. They're a middling team, but all these teams are going to get their dicks rock hard to go play these guys because they know there's no luck back there. So this also, on the other side, picks up the defenses on all three of those teams, especially if you're going to stream your defense. You're going to stream against the Colts a lot, especially if they start out bad. Because this is the kind of thing that, like, right before the season, this just right off the cliff they could go. And you're looking at, like, 0-5, 0-6. They started out 1-5 with luck last year, and then they got luck basically turned it all around. So, yeah, this could go off the rails in a hurry. So, unless there's nobody out there, I wouldn't be drafting too many of these guys. Maybe Mac, if they decide we're gonna run the ball from now on. But that's my theory on Luck. He was a great player. And there's one more thing I want to show you. Here, let's take a look at something. So I want to show you this real quick. This guy, Dan Dakich. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Never heard of this guy. Criticizes Andrew Luck. Who the fuck is he? How many touchdowns this guy threw out? Consensus was a bad look for the Colts fans who booed Andrew Luck. And what's up with you, Colts fans? You guys had Peyton Manning and then Andrew Luck. Outside of Favre to Rodgers and Montana to Young, I don't know very many teams that have had that length of steady quarterback play that they were allowed, that they were privileged to watch. Look at fucking Cleveland. They're wishing they got Bernie Kosar back. Well, it's Mayfield. I'm not sold on this guy. But anyway, Indy fans, dude, weak. Dude, weak. But let's get back to this fucking asshole. ESPN figures. Another jerk off from ESPN. That station's filled with jerk offs. Garbage. I've spoken openly about my own mental. Oh, he's a fucking wacko. No wonder. Makes sense now. This guy's a fucking Looney Tune. You should be ashamed of yourself. Look, tell him he should be ashamed of himself. Gilbrandt and most scouts questions commit when he was drafted. Yeah, I told you this for years. So would he, if this guy never got hurt and he played 15 years, would he still be saying this? Another fucking jerk off. See, this is the thing about. That's why I don't read these fucking things. Blah blah blah. Yeah, blah. He couldn't care less. Thanking mom, dad, choking. Blah blah blah. This guy is basically a fucking asshole. So I don't get. We get the picture here. I don't get the problem with everybody. The fucking guy retired. It's fucking sports. He wants to fucking retire. Let him retire. You giving him shit for it? Give me a fucking break with this. This is just a bad look. This is just a bad look for everybody who isn't Andrew Luck. The guy wants to retire. Let him fucking retire. Give him a fucking break. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's get into my theories. So we're going to get into what I call my Ray Lewis theory. Everybody remembers back in 2000, 2001 when the cops pulled him in for that murder charge or whatever it was. Now, back then, I was like, wow, that guy's a really good player. I wonder how this is going to affect him next year, if he has a next year. Because you have to remember, if he would have got convicted for that, he'd still be in jail. He didn't go. But the effect of, and this happens a lot, especially in sports, it's usually the police involved, which brings along these situations that bring along these seasons that I'm going to talk about. Now, he was going to get put away forever, and then he didn't, and he came back, and he won them the Super Bowl, basically. That defense was unstoppable, and he wasn't going to let them get scored on because he was so talented that once the process of possibly not playing football, forget next season ever again, was put in his face, then that gets taken away. These guys come back with a vengeance. Now I'm talking about guys with a huge amount of talent. Now, that happens with usually these police blotter escapades happen with a lot of defensive players, but you get some offensive players, and it's not just the threat of getting put in jail. I'm going to give you some examples. A couple of years ago, if you remember, Sean McCoy got pulled in with that beating up a cop thing or whatever it was. That didn't go anywhere. And he came back the next year and went fucking bonkers. He got hurt. I drafted him, of course, because this is part of my theory. Whenever these guys have these life-changing things that happen, they come back and go fucking ape shit. But they have to be really good. I'm not talking about the third fucking string tackle. I'm talking about really good guys, especially guys that you're going to plug and play on your fantasy team. Now, there's that example. There's Zeke from last year, which I drafted 4th. And he had a shit year the year before. And people were saying, you're giving him all that shit. He wasn't playing right. He gave up. Remember that Denver game where he just stood there and they ran back something? And Andrew Luck last year. Going back to Andrew Luck. I drafted him too. And those two guys basically got me to the championship game last year. I know you can think, oh, it's good. It's comeback year. Well, it wasn't really a comeback year for Zeke. He played the year before. So it's just that he was getting shit talked a lot. And he wanted to go out there and prove something. So there's that part of it. It's kind of a little nuanced thing. But there are 3 guys this year that I'm pumping up my draft board just due to this. I already talked about Adrian Peterson. He made $100 million, and then he just found out he's broke. So he's going to bust his ass this year. I know Darius Geis looked okay in the preseason game he played, but I'm going with Adrian Peterson. Peterson's 1. Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's going to go high anyway. I got 2 books. Go look at my magazine reviews. Tyreek Hill isn't even in the fucking magazines. They didn't even think he was playing this year. He's going to be a top 3 guy. He's going to be top 3 wide receivers, guaranteed. And another guy, this is a little different, but it kind of falls in there. Nick Foles. He had a tragedy that happened, very sad, with his kid. And I think that this is going to be the kind of thing that he just focuses on this year. And he's got some guys out there to play. He's got D.D. Westbrook. I think this is going to roll over to him as well, and he's going to have a pretty good year with this. But they've got some guys there. They run the ball a little bit, and I think he's going to have a pretty good year. He's going to be a top 15 guy, top 15 quarterback we'll go with. So there's those 3 guys that I'm keeping an eye on. I think I'm gonna reach for him a little bit, unless somebody goes after him first. But Peterson had 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns last year. Foles has won a Super Bowl, played his dick off against the Patriots. And Tyreek Hill, we all know that he's got the speed to burn anybody, and he just got he just went through all that shit where he wasn't even allowed in the fucking complex, and now he's back and he's playing, and I think this year he's gonna go ape shit. So that's the theory. Those are 3 guys who fall under the theory. If there's anybody else that I missed, leave a comment below about guys that something happened in the offseason, you think they're gonna have a bounce back year. But you have to have a reason for it. You can't just say, well, he's going to bounce back because he just bounced back. No. You have to have a reason for it. And I gave you the reasons for those 3 guys. So if you can leave a comment with the reason. And, that's it for my theories. And I just got done my first draft, so here's a look at the team and the backups. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. So that's it. Thank you for listening. And don't forget, this Friday, my debut on 12 Ounce Sports Radio, the TalkMan Radio Show live, sponsored by Thrive Fantasy. It's a new kind of fantasy game. It's in the vein of FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a little different. I'll explain it on the show when I do my promos. But it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna put a couple bucks in there, see if I can beat anybody. Come play against me. See what you can do. I'll bet against you. But that's it. Thank you for listening. As always, leave a comment, like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. And that's it. I'll see you next week. It's a big week. God bless. Good luck at your drafts. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow TalkMan Radio on Facebook and Twitter. And kill that like button and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget, everyone's team sucks but mine.